Hi folks, Andy here, and welcome to the penultimate Hammer Dracula movie sort of regurgitation. Yes, I'm wearing black again, but it's not the same top. Um, I don't know why I keep mentioning about that. Just a colour I tend to like. Maybe I shouldn't be wearing it so much in this heat. It is roasting again today. It's going to be a very hot week. Now, before I get into this, I'm just going to put something out that I don't know how some of you are going to feel about it. And the reason why I say some of you is because I've got a very small number of subscribers to this channel at the moment. I'm hoping to, eventually grow that number to something bigger. But at the moment, there's not a lot of people that obviously subscribe to this. But I have had several thousand views over the course of a year or so of this channel existing, which for me is quite impressive. I'm quite happy with the number so far. And some of these videos have exceeded, I think my biggest is almost 500 views. Considering there's a handful of subscribers, that's not bad. But every film that I talk about, every book that I talk about, every album that I talk about, and music is going to make a big comeback on this channel at some point, predominantly tends to be something that I have at some point bought with my own money. Now, yes, some of these books I listen to the audio books, and some of these albums I stream, but I tend to also pay my own money, either to do that or to buy that product after, or I have to pay. Even if the stuff I think isn't very good, I still have to pay for it. I don't have a lot of money. I don't make a lot of money. I'm an independent content creator here, and I'm thinking of putting up something like a GoFundMe or just a link to PayPal, without getting in the way of stuff. I'm probably never going to have I'm never really likely to be able to monetize this channel. I'm probably never going to have adverts or anything. But by way of the fact that if I can get something like that and I get a bit of support, if anybody who's watching this at any point thinks, God, that guy needs different tops, we don't want to see him in black. His camera system set up is rubbish. It's wobbling everywhere. He needs some sort of tripod. Or you recommend something you want me to talk about, and you can fund my ability to buy it, even if it's like a second-hand copy for like £1 for a book or a CD, and you want my opinion on it. I can use that money to do that, and to further the channel, and to reach out and give opinion that some people might actually like, or with the larger community at heart, it might help people out, which is awesome. I'm not asking for pots of gold. I'm never going to get rich. When I said pots of gold, I got a shine of light, didn't I? God says yes. But just a bit of help out for the channel, really. So I'm thinking of interjecting that. So if you do see a PayPal link at the bottom of the page, or there's a sort of GoFundMe or something attached, don't be alarmed. It's not like somebody's corporate taking over or anything like that. The main reason I mention it is if I put it on there, that's what it's for. Those people who want to voluntarily help build the channel and want me to, go in a certain direction, I'm all ears. But there's no obligation to do it. This is a free site, and its content matters more. And I'll always try and endeavour to review stuff, irrespective of time and financial or lack of it. So there we go. So with that said, we're at number 2 on my Hammer Horror Dracula list. Now, it's probably not surprising to hear the 2 films I've got left. There's no surprise in terms of what order they're in, but I do want to say a lot about them. So at number 2, without almost 4 minutes of waffle so far, is going to be Brides of Dracula from 1960. The second of the Hammer Dracula films, and the first one that Christopher Lee didn't want to part in, because he didn't want to sort of be typecast, which is ironic considering he ended up being typecast. But for me, Brides of Dracula, I've seen this film appear on the very bottom of some people's lists, and I know it's all subjective, and the reasons why some people have put this at number 9 or even lower on their least favourite Hammer horror films of all 60, one or two films they did list, is going to be the polar opposite of the reason why it's at number 2 on mine. And I'm never going to change anyone's minds. It is just subjective. There's no right or wrong. But I still struggle to understand why somebody would put this film so low, because Brides of Dracula, to me, is the second best Dracula film that Hammer ever put out. It's, I think, their most stylish film, full stop. I think this is the best looking movie Hammer ever made. And I think it's a genuinely great Hammer horror film. Peter Cushing here absolutely excels. He's having the time of his life. His portrayal of Van Helsing here is one of his best performances. And whilst there's no Dracula, David Peel, who plays the main, sure it's David Peel, he plays the main vampire, is much more, in many ways, menacing and cruel and vindictive than Dracula was originally. Maybe not as vindictive and cruel as Dracula would go on to become, especially with stuff like Scars of Dracula, where he became really savage. But he's really sly and creepy and evil. Yeah, incredibly youthful. The guy was about my age when he played, the guy he plays here. He looks much younger. This film got a few standout moments. One of them is when Van Helsing gets bitten by a vampire and has to cauterise his wound, which I just thought was a fantastic scene. The other is the ending. And I know, again, I've mentioned that some of these are being spoiled, but they're old films, Where do you draw the line? The ending here involving the windmill and the cross that's made out of a shadow, I think is just inspired. I genuinely thought that it was one of the cleverest and most just inspirational endings of any of the Hammer horror movies. Now, I've seen some people who think it's stupid and some people think it's, anticlimactic. And I each their own. For me, I thought it was a genuinely great way of ending this film. Really, really clever. But I also think there's a lot of creepy scenes here, and the way that the vampire corrupts the women, and they, because Dracula's mentioned, he's not in it, but his essence here, this is all Dracula's doing. I just think it's really, really clever. Like I say, it's a really good looking movie. It's got some great action set pieces. That bit with the vampire bat is low budget and terrible. It's straight out of Scars of Dracula sort of budget, but the rest of it is a really lavish production, a beautiful looking film. It's got a great fairy tale gothic atmosphere. It's nowhere near as violent as I think most of this. I'd argue that this is the tamest of all of Hammer's Dracula films. But I also think that works in its favour. This just has a wonderful adult fairy tale gothic feel about it. It's just a beautiful movie that is really well paced, very fast, has some great action set pieces. Like I say, the ending's wonderful, and I had a great time with it. I really do. It's a film that I think in many ways is even better than the original Dracula, the Hammer one, that is. And I've put it at number 2 only because, Dracula isn't in this, and some people would bemoan a Dracula film at number 1 without Dracula. But in all honesty, this is a cracking movie, and if you haven't seen it, I thoroughly implore you to watch it. If you don't like it, and it's one of those films that you put at the bottom of the list because there's no Dracula or for whatever reason, then again, chips is chips, and each their own. But for me personally, this is my second favourite of the Hammer Draculas, and I think it's a great Hammer movie.